Hi. Okay, so in the last video, I've been realizing that my lighting is so bad. I feel like it's making me look worse than I look. I have such a hard time understanding what I look like because every time I look into a different camera, I just feel like I look so different. I don't know if women will relate to this, but every time I look in the mirror, like I just look completely different. I don't understand what I look like. So sometimes I'm like trying to understand what I look like through these things, and I'm always like playing with the lighting with what I have right now, but sometimes like I make it worse and I just get so fed up trying to figure it out that I just end up being frustrated with that and just like, whatever, it doesn't matter what I look like, it matters what I have to say. At the same time, I will look at that and be like, well, that's not what I feel like I look like, and I'll get annoyed from that external thing, and that will almost just not make me want to create in a way, because I just will feel like, it's not showing up as how I feel. And like, why is that not showing up how I feel? And it's because there's like this separation. Here's the thing, like I'm always big on truth and be authentic. I feel like I am a very authentic person. I feel like who I really am and how silly and how childlike. I've always had such a hard time just simply articulating that and like actually sharing that to a screen. And some people say, well, you're good at talking to a camera, but I don't know if I am. I've always had this strange relationships with cameras, and I've always loved cameras and everything like this. I love everything that is like a moment in time, because you have that moment in time and you know that that was real and that captured an experience that was authentic. But sometimes I feel like, some of these things I'm creating, is it really a reflection of what I'm going through? And then I feel there's that divide, and that hurts my relationship with myself. It's like, well, why is there that separation? Are you not facing something? And there's always things that I can be facing, but the thing is, the thing that someone could perceive you as that you need to change or you need to think could be actually something that you're working on. Something that I've been working on is trying to not be so much of a perfectionist. So when I was creating these videos, I also was like, well, whatever, everyone will have something to say about everything. I also felt a separation because I had to detach from my like online identity, because I don't want there to be a separation, because it's manipulation and it can distort people's reality. In the way that we live in today, what you put out online doesn't match who you are. I register you as dangerous because that's probably means that you project a version of yourself or something. Like, I just think what we say to other people about other people and all these things, like it should always match, because then you don't know what reality is, then you get to question reality. So I'm going to talk about these topics, especially with boundaries. This is like the heavy topic I want to talk about. There's so many things that have been going through my mind for the past few days. My sleep schedule is so bad. It's so bad, but I stopped trying to shame myself and fix it. Like, maybe this is just another cycle I just need to repeat, and every time of the year I'm like, no, this year I'm going to be in a routine. You know why? I was craving to go into this structure. Like, I feel like I'm so much the flow, and that is the feminine, like that's the flow. But for me to remain in my feminine and to even go deeper and surrender into that and to be able to create art from that place, I need tools from masculine. When I talk about feminine masculine energy, it is an energy. A lot of men get so annoyed when I'm talking about masculinity. Like, I'm talking about the energy of masculinity, not what I think it means to be a man. I'm trying to go into the masculine world by being myself. I'm trying to create the container to exist in, but at the same time, it's like I am being myself. I'm saying what I have to say is original. My lessons are original. What I'm going through, when I talk about relationship, all these things, it's not separate, because I've even been around people and dated people that have been one way, and then online they're posting like, oh my god, this is strange, because a lot of people will post to you online and they'll be like, they'll hide their wives, like they'll hide their girlfriends, but it's a strange thing. There'll be some guys online that will be completely like, oh my god, this is how you should treat your lady, but behind closed doors, like, they're not like that. They're just doing it for the female validation. They're not actually those men that they're promoting to be like those healthy masculine guys, but they're promoting like healthy masculinity, and that's so weird, just to get more female validation. Anyways, I'm losing the plot here, but you know what, sometimes we just can't lose a plot about life. If you're not being authentic, you have lost the plot. If you're not being authentic, you've lost the plot. Oh, you're sharing too much of this, people are gonna target you, they're gonna dis. I've been talking about masculine energy and talking about this like frustration that I felt, and I feel this collective rage on one end, feel like I want to choose my voice and choose myself and to speak more of my voice and my truth and not bend that for no one. But when I am trying to come into something in the world, I need this, and it's crazy because so many men will be like, oh, it's when you're feminine, and they will tell other girls that. I don't know why we listen to guys. Like, why are we listening to what guys have to say about what a woman's womb is? And maybe that's how men feel about when women speak about men, but women understand men intuitively because women created men. We are all beings, but at the same time, we are not the same beings. A lot of these things I have been talking about, it has been looking at it from a more logical perspective, and some of the last videos I've done someone maybe have came across as more strict, don't mistake this strictness for hostility, because I know hostility, and hostility is not looking out for your soul. Everything I say is about looking out for the soul, and I feel like I do know the soul of men more than they do. Like, I see guys' souls, they are so terrified by their own darkness and their own soul, and they have so much shame for it. I will be like, yeah, this is not what you were meant to be. You're so much more. It's not because I think that they are less. I don't hate men. I hate what men have become, and I don't hate the men particularly. I hate what it stands for, because it stands for that you have lost your autonomy too. And when you have lose your autonomy, I feel like that's when they start to take it out of females, and it creates this war. Again, we're going to the patriarchy, but I did this whole episode, and maybe I came across more of my masculine, more of my just strength, but it's just strict. And when I'm trying to integrate, I will pay attention to physical things. I am a Gemini rising, and I think Gemini risings, I'm always learning about astrology and different things, different perspectives, but I'm pretty sure like Gemini risings just come across one, yes, like chatty like this. I'm putting it into my creations, it's good, but also flirty. But people mistake that flirtiness. It's not flirty, I'm just like flirty with life, right? Like, I'm alive. I've realized that so many people mistake that as like, you're flirting with me. But why are people so expecting of certain things? I am full of life. I'm full of these things. Like, why is that such a wrong thing? Like, why do people have expectations of people? The whole point is like to not lead with false pretenses. Anyways, so I did an episode talking about, it's like, my family narcissistic, because I was around like way too much family members. I've realized that I can't do that. It took me like a month of going through this, like not seeing myself clearly, because I was around this energy, and I felt like it really took my spark. And that is just also reminded me like why I need so much boundaries. Taylor Swift said something about how be a girl for 30 days and then go just be a whole different girl. And I think that's also really a good tip if you do want to like balance out your feminine and your masculine. I feel like, or it's just discover who you are and discover what you like explore things. When I tried to come back to the external, I'm fixating more on external things, not because that's not where I put my value. Like, I did not put my value in my looks, and I do not need validation about my looks. Like, I want to look beautiful for myself and feel beautiful myself, and I want my my outsides to feel like I match my insides. Sometimes like I'll do my nails. I was like, I want to get into more hobbies and things I would have fun doing as a girl when I was a child, and I did my nails myself. Maybe they're not like the best, but I think that's pretty cool. I filed them and I don't think I did the best job. I'm not good at that girly stuff. I've kind of felt like I've lost this childhood, I guess. Like, I had a childhood, but I feel like it was cut so short, and I felt like I became an adult. I was my family's therapist. I was this. I just felt like I became an adult very early on, and I was a really depressed child very early on, and it's been so much darkness. I've always been told you're such the wise child, like you're wise beyond your years, which I still appreciate, because I feel seen when people say that, I guess, as a compliment. But at the same time, like, is it really a compliment to be seen as that? I am now starting to be way more whimsical, and people will say, you're this. People will say anything. People project onto you and hardly ever see you, because seeing someone as a very complex and trying to understand someone, it's not that should be someone's job. Like, we should show and reveal ourselves with people that are willing and wanting. That's the boundary too. That's the thing. If people are not willing and wanting and showing up with that eagerness to know us, then we can release people. I've always felt like I knew what love is, but the thing is, you can feel like you know what love is, but love is also not self-sacrifice. And there's so many things I did think was also love, it was not. And that didn't mean that there wasn't love in other ways. Things are so much more complex and so confusing. You can really, I feel like, lose yourself if you don't have boundaries. Like, I don't know why I have not had boundaries for other people. Like, I've had such a hard time establishing boundaries. I feel like I watch other people, perhaps my age or whatever. I don't really compare myself to my age, but I externally look, and I know if you look to outside and you make assumptions, it is just an assumption, but sometimes it's not an assumption, it's just a pattern that I'm seeing. And I do think at the end of the day, like, it's not about being right, it is about trusting that pattern that you see in your life from looking at the mass. Like, if your sample pool, maybe it's not so large, but still your sample pool, and then you're also looking at the medians things, and even if it's just your algorithm, that's what you're seeing, but it's like you're actively trying to look out to the world to assess the patterns, because I really don't want to project. Like, I want experiences so I can learn. I want truth. I'm constantly trying to learn, but I don't have an interest in being right. Like I have an interest in trying to discover the truths of certain things, of certain theories, of things about life, but I'm never right. But I know I'm right in what I felt. And that's in having inner autonomy and inner authority and not losing your relationship with yourself. Because if you don't have that, you start to lose your relationship with yourself. And that really strips away at you. And it's such a fine line between what strips away at me. And people, I feel like they've been saying, and there's not that many people, right? But it's just like my feedback of awareness. And I know when I shift something, I can feel the energetic shift, and I can feel almost like how like a collective that may resonate with me, people, they might start to shift, and like I know how they're gonna view this in a way. I can feel that, but at the same time, like that is me developing on my spiritual journey. Also, I feel like when you do talk about such spiritual topics and things like this, you are not always going to be in alignment with people. Like you need to speak your truth. Everyone needs to speak their truth and understand that someone can be at a completely different timeline or a different level of consciousness, and it's just not going to resonate. Like it's not going to align with them. Just because other people's timelines in life don't resonate with yours, it doesn't mean that yours is untrue. That's why I think it's actually healthy to look at art and to look at creations as a point like, well, if I was the only one here, what would I create? I was such in the spiritual state in December, and I was writing these essays. I had tears streaming down my face. The spiritual state that I was in, that I actually felt. And see how I'm talking with this, I'm starting to get like embarrassed. I'm starting to mock myself. That's mean. That's being my own bully. If I can be aware of that and say, why are you doing that? Why? Because you know how other people will respond to this. You know you sound crazy to the point that your logical mind can't even believe it. That's another thing. I have had such a logical mind. I really trust my logic in life, and I feel like I'm a very fair person. I hear other people's perspectives and be like, no, you're right, like that's fair, I can see why you did that. I just feel like I'm a fair person. I trust my moral compass, all these things, and I trust I'm not too harsh, because some people are just so harsh. They're like so on one end. I feel like boundaries are hard because it doesn't pertain to a particular group of people. Like you can have, say, your boundaries with like men. Talk to why I feel like someone were frustrated, all these things, and it's not to bash men, it's to like give advice if you did want that. I think that's why it's hard, because like you can know your personal limit, and you can know your personal limit with like any relationship, and like when it comes to just like a different gender. And I think on average, like you need to have certain standards when it comes to a particular gender. Here is an example, and this is just understanding our differences. I'm just trying to be educated. I'm always will learn more, but I've listened to Alison Armstrong. She talks about all these podcasts saying how men feel deeply understood. Like I've been really trying to understand men's souls and all this stuff. Like I really have been. Read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and I completely agree there. Men need different things than women in arguments. Men need different things than women in relationships, and we need to stop lying to each other about these things and see if we still want to come together, because it's okay if men and women just want different things, right? That's why we need to have healthy boundaries. What if you just want something different than someone else? You are not a safe person. Like if you can't be honest about something because you are afraid of someone's reaction, and you think that is okay because you're protecting themselves because you are afraid to get judged, you really need to look at yourself, because someone can also understand why you're doing that, but need to have the boundary for themselves. I cannot meet people that are inauthentic. I cannot deal with people who don't have a genuine heart and soul and that hide things because they are afraid to get shamed, because then you're in a relationship with someone and you are taking someone's choice away from them. If you are taking someone's choice and not giving them complete freeness to love you, then perhaps they don't necessarily love you. Like there's people I've loved and I have loved them. Did I love the true version of them, or did I love a lie because they were lying to me? Then I start to question, well, what is reality? Like if someone's telling me one thing, and a lot of girls, again, like they'll just say, look for emotional intelligence. Do you know the guys that I've broken up with? Yes, I've talked with some of these badder things that they've done, because there are these vile and darker sides to men, and that is not hating men, that is being aware of the brokenness of men. But at the same time, in the way I have seen men, with a love for them, understanding that underneath all of this pain, because I have a dad and I have a brother, and underneath all of this pain, they don't want to choose power, they don't want to choose all these things, they want to have emotional intelligence and all these things, but it's like they just feel so much shame because they've been taught that that's weakness. I just think with the male species, I need to have such boundaries with them, but each relationship can also be so different. Like my relationship and what I require for my brother to meet me and for us to like have a relationship, he doesn't need to be at my level, and he doesn't need to be at my level spiritually. Not everyone has to be at your level level spiritually, like maybe you bond in a certain way, maybe you bond in a different way. Oh my god, you know those times when you're in your 20s and you don't feel like you're old? And I feel like I do have many years left in my 20s, but I just feel like old. I feel like I've been operating since I've been like my 30s, since I was gonna say since I was like 12, and there's a truth in that in one way, like my work ethic and how I just worked, but also I was kind of crazy when I was like a teenager. I've had my moments where I was crazy. Everything is about just alignment and what do you want and boundaries, and it's not personal. Like people take it as personal, but I was voicing what I was personally attracted to in things. If you don't care what I'd be attracted to, then fine, but I also do feel like I'm speaking on behalf on a lot of women when I've talked to these things, and no woman's the same, but it's like you have to talk about from your patterns again. So I do want to talk about astrology as well, because again, like looking to astrology, every time I look more into it, I remind myself like why I used to look more into it. I used to focus on it, because there are times when we are like looking for external things and they can pull us into it. There's periods of times where you just have to like go completely through it, and then there's times where you're merging again, you're on the physical. And when you live a life like that, or if you have lived a life like that, there is probably a good chance that you also have a 12th house. And what I've realized is 12th house, that is a good place to look where to establish boundaries. If you are struggling with that, you can listen to your inner compass. Anything should not be brainwashing you. Every time you read something about yourself, or even say if you watched a video online, like, and there's this video where it's like, oh, this video is for you, you should be listening to something because it resonates with you and it's like guiding you because you resonate with it. Like you should not be brainwashing yourself certain stories, right? You need to have boundaries for so many different things. Oh my god, intentionality, boundaries. So what I've realized in even talking about like masculinity and all these topics, I love understanding human behavior, my world, in my life, in my true existence. It is very spiritual, and I really want to be in my world. But here's the thing, some people are just, it's part of their path to talk about spirituality, and people will treat people based off their experience of people in life, but you get to determine how people treat you. And if they cross that boundary, then perhaps they lose distance to you. People, I feel like, view that as someone's punishing you, but it's like, no, they're just protecting themselves. Okay, I wrote this down, the part about astrology, so I could say it properly. So if anyone wants to look into astrology, to where to set boundaries, so you might want to first start looking at your Saturn and your Neptune. That will teach you why boundaries need to become a lesson in the first place. So Saturn focuses on limits, structure, responsibility, lessons. The 12th house, which I have my 12th house in Saturn, that is all about unconscious boundary lessons. The 12th house is unconscious patterns, hidden dynamics, and the 12th house in Taurus is ruled by Venus. So a lot of many unconscious patterns show up as emotional attachment and connection. So my lesson, what is happening, I was writing this down to figure out my own brain. I was looking at my chart and I was researching, okay, why would this happen, to understand. I was looking up like, okay, well, what would I have to learn about boundaries? And this is all so accurate. So my lesson is what is actually happening, not just what I see, sense, believe, or feel. So that means as a boundary, I need to implement consistency and actions over intentions, and don't just make decisions based off of someone else's pain. And that's a big thing. And the thing is, your 12th house can also be linked to legacy, ancestry, subconscious, inheritance, and what you carry forward. I know I want to talk with these things online, and I'm meant to, and that is part of my purpose in life, and that does show that in that way. I'm meant to talk with these on topics, but when it comes to my actual romantic life, there has to be such a boundary. Like, I'm devoted to my spiritual work and my spiritual mission, and that comes first. So I can talk with these experiences based off what I've seen, but also I don't want to talk about my love life when it comes to men. There's that boundary, and I have certain boundaries up, and I've realized, like, when I talk these things, it took me a while to figure out that boundary, but it's like, no, this is my path, and this is the path, the journey that I've been on, and that's my truth. And if someone has a problem with you speaking your truth, and you speaking your lived experience, and for you speaking what happened in your reality because perhaps they are ashamed or they are embarrassed or something, you need to be able to speak. And that's what me realizing, like, that's a boundary as well. That is my truth, and that's a boundary with other people. Sometimes, like, people, when you start to, many people will not like it when you start to speak up, but I think sometimes people, or I've also got confused where I felt like me feeling these things spiritually and talking with them would mean that I can't close that door perhaps in my life, but it's not necessarily true. I don't know if that makes sense to the right people that are like meant to align, because I just realized, I feel like I censor myself because my people will not understand this, so I dilute myself and I perhaps laugh it off. Why do I do that? Why do I laugh it off? Some things are funny, dark humor. Anyways, okay, so you can look at relationship planets too. you. My Pluto conjuncts descendant in the 7th house, and the 7th house I think is something you can look towards. I forget why the 7th house is something you can look towards. Why I wrote this down somewhere. Look, I felt like a student again studying all this, because the thing is, I do believe following what's within, but sometimes it's okay to look to the external for some things just to confirm, again, emphasis on to confirm what you've already felt and experienced, because we are not, this is not who we are to be like, you're delusional. No, come on, I don't believe in any of that stuff that's rooted in the patriarchy. That you're delusional. That is masculine energy and logic that we need to get into. We need to have balance for our masculine energy, but we are not going to say, oh, my inner world was delusional. I'm delusional for talking about these things. I'm not delusional for saying truth and saying what I experience in these spiritual spaces, and I know these are always are true. They have facades going on, and deep down, like, I can see them, and like I know that as well. And that's also like what's annoying. It's annoying when your physical reality does not reflect your spiritual reality. But the thing is, the physical reality, people think that's the most reality when they see, but people don't understand. No, people are wearing facades. The spirituality is deep down what people feel, but you also have to have that boundary. You can't control what people feel. You can't control if someone's telling you the truth. You actually don't know who's actually not lying to you and telling you the truth. That's why also I need that boundary in my life. If there's one thing that is revealed to me, you are not loyal, you're not completely devoted and true, that is not toxicity, that is not lack. That is me knowing that my core values, what are my core values? Like, who are you at your core? What at your core would, if it was compromised, it would steal from who you are. It would steal from yourself. For me, one of them was loyalty, and I've explained why I need loyalty and I need people not messing with my mind, because the thing is, my mind, they stole my mind. Like, literally, these people stole my mind, and not just like these things and medications, all these things when I was younger. Like, my mind was gone. So that's why I'm like, I know what a clear mind is now, and I know that I'm sane and I have clarity and all this stuff. People like to paint the woman that goes into her dark feminine or whatever, and I feel like I'm emerging into my dark, and people like to make that out, oh, that's masculine. It's not masculine in the bad way. It's masculine the container way. Everything in my life has been just teaching me about duality, define the balance between walking the middle line between the two worlds that are one, and knowing that people just are choose, not that they're not fake, but just like they're not authentic to their own souls. They cannot be trusted. They're not safe. So the 7th house is about romantic partners, close friendships, and business partnerships. Now, I would say, like, when it came to like even romantic people in my life, every guy has always been like, we should start a business together. Oh, there's a friendship there, but also can be like close mirrored relationships. So this is how you behave when someone is close enough to emotionally affect you. The 7th house can describe what you project onto others, what you attract, what you unconsciously expect from relationships. So my Pluto conjuncts the descendant, so that can mean that I have intense connections. I have deep emotional bonds with power dynamics, but they're transformative. So they're fast and deep and emotionally powerful. But because of that can be true, right? But I can put boundaries up. Some of my boundaries that I've had is just to protect my nervous system. And this is not going to be a boundary for everyone, but it's a boundary that I know works for me. And it's that it's not being constantly available. I need my alone time, and that's okay. And delaying replies when I need space, because I don't want to respond. Like, I want to reflect on something, and I think that's okay. I have that boundary with a lot of people, and people do get annoyed about that. And I was talking the boundary before. I was like, well, fuck you, fuck this. The thing is, again, when I'm entering the physical, I tend to go into it more in extreme ways. If I need to make a decision about something and I don't know, like, I'll just make a decision with following my intuition in an extreme way that will bring me the momentum that I need. And I know it's the truth. You just have to take the risk. It's not a risk when you follow your intuition, what's within. But also understand, again, people need to be with truth. Oh my God, there's so many things to factor in. That's why it's so hard to put up boundaries, right? And I feel like we are not taught these things, especially if you are taught to be an empathetic child and like to pay attention to everyone's emotions around you till someone cracks you open to like, well, no, I have to listen to my inner authority. Not just empathetics, but like there are people that are constantly being hyper vigilant, stuff like that. So that's something they have to face. But everyone has to face that. This is my boundaries. That's to protect my nervous system. But I have also reality-based boundaries. So I wrote not making decisions based off words and potential alone. So I never thought like I loved, when girls say, like, girls will say, don't love a guy for his potential. It's kind of hard. I was like, well, I do not love this person for their potential. I love them for their higher self, their soul. And I'm like, well, why aren't you being it? It pisses me off. Then I realized, oh, maybe that is loving someone for their potential. I was just like, well, why aren't you being this person that you say you are? It's because they're not in alignment and they're manipulative and they can't be trusted, right? Not that they don't love you and have a good heart, but it's just that they are choosing to present a facade and a narrative that they are higher than the man that they just showed to be. Even when it comes to my family, like, yes, I can show and all these things. When I was young, my dad built me an ice rink in my backyard, and other guys could be like, wow, like, why would she set
settle for stuff when her dad treats you like this. But then there's also the factor of like sometimes guys do this shit, not that we're not appreciative of that stuff. Like, of course, like I love that makes me connect to my heart and all that stuff. But it's like I feel like people do that sometimes, like to put on the image as well. So like the image is more important to them than having the deep like connection within. Sometimes people just will choose the image, but people don't have to choose the image. Choose the life and choose the soul. You have to focus on the image, and it's not a bad thing to focus on the image. And I said earlier how the backstage is different than the showroom, right? And I feel like even with creating, you want to be authentic, but still you understand this is a show. It is reality, but it's also, there's an art to it. There's so much things to consider with everything. Oh my god, that's part of my lesson. You can consider all these different perspectives, but if it takes away, it doesn't matter what the perspective is. It doesn't matter how much empathy I feel and why they did it, and I can hold space, and I will hold space for those people. But at the same time, it's like if this is emotionally draining me, emotionally taking from me, I'm at a point where I've done enough healing to get to the point of I choose peace. You know, I will always choose love, but love will choose me too. And if love chooses me too, well, I've shown these people in my life, I feel like I've shown them more love and I've fought for them. If they want to, then they can go fight for themselves, you know, like fight for their own souls. Because I've put my foot down with people. I said, no, you can meet me with your soul, that's it. And you can burn everything that's not your soul if you want to face me, right? That doesn't mean you need to face it in your life or your things. I don't know. It's different with partnerships and like siblings or stuff like that. So this is like kind of a cycle I've been repeating. So it's like all together. So I'll feel this deep connection and I'll tie meaning to it early, because I know things do come in like divine alignment and divine timing. That's not saying I'm naive. That is a truth. Like everything is spiritual and we do meet everyone for a reason. I'm learning to maybe not attach labels, understand like you can meet someone for an impactful reason, but doesn't mean you need to like attach them to like a download you had or a theory you had. The next thing I'll do is like I will want to give emotional space based off that feeling. I really am reflective. I will continuously reflect on like, well, what was that, you know? And if reality shows inconsistency or imbalance, that is when there's a confusion and I start to notice inconsistency, and I start to go into maybe an inner like wonder, like, well, why would they do that conflict now is a sign for me. That conflict is enough sign for me. Oh, this is taking up mental capacity. I don't deserve to question and think, well, what is reality? I don't deserve that. So then I pull back my energy because I'm not dealing with that, and I choose clarity over chaos. You can choose love and choose yourself and choose your peace. Like I will choose peace over everything because I have love as well. It's like I'm protecting the love that is within me, and it's not about being cold. It's about standing in connection with self-trust. It literally is having the most deepest relationship with yourself, and sometimes you have to disappoint other people. I feel like my relationship with myself is growing, and I feel like I'm very there for myself. I'm like, finally, all these people you want to be there and treat you right, well, I'm treating myself right. It's really deepening my relationship with myself, and maybe like really respecting myself and knowing like I can trust myself, which also starts to make you more confident. Okay, what else? Did I write anything else down? Okay, so I wrote the moon can be impactful for boundaries because the moon describes emotional needs and what makes you feel safe. And that's the thing, like I also wrote earlier, I can love you, but if I don't feel safe with you, actually I forget how I ended that, but if I don't feel safe with you, it doesn't matter if I love you. And if I don't respect you, it doesn't matter if I love you. If I love you, but there's a chance that your ego could kill me, I'm gonna choose to walk away from that love, even if it was love. In these relationships, I'm reflecting on these moments and these times and like where there was experience of true love, but things are just more complex. Having the boundaries, and you cannot just be like, oh, this person's so spiritual, this was a spiritual connection. You are not delusional for thinking that. These are spiritual connections, but the thing is, we just need to not tie an identity to the expectation of you can have something within you and download and know you're meant to be treated in a certain way, but maybe it's just not that person. Like maybe you can experience so much more love with someone else. Who's to say you can't? That's why you need to have the logic in that way. The logic is not dismissing your spiritual experiences. The logic is not saying that's not real. It's just telling you that, okay, this can be true, but that's also true. Is also true. And like again, talking about how people choose karmic ties and things like this. Yeah, so that's just knowing that and having that boundary with yourself. The moon, my moon is opposite Mercury and Jupiter. Maybe I should not be saying these things to other people, but whatever. I'm nothing to hide. So the tug of war between what I feel and what I think, and that's exactly also describes where I started with boundaries, is this tug of war. So rationalizing red flags because I'm giving people one more chance because I understand their perspective. My Virgo moon needs order, reliability, respect for my time and energy. And yes, when I feel like it's such a huge trigger in relationships, I've realized that if I
cross my emotional boundary, like I can get resentment and things like this. Like I like having the peace in relationships, and like I like having consistency, and like I feel like I love freedom for like people to go be themselves in relationships and all that stuff. But I feel like I have such freedom. You can be in that relationship and it's like you're not, oh, this is the role you're playing, you just love someone for who they are. I need my boundaries to like be consistent with the reliability of like, oh, you're gonna be there for me through thick or thin, like when something bad would happen, like we're on the same team. So I really realized if I cross that emotionally, if you cross me, yeah, a lot of resentment boils up in me, and that is not good. So it's really difficult for me to, when I get resentment, I feel like that kind of is a Pisces thing. When I get or just people in general, I guess, but I really can hold a grudge, and I feel like it's been really heavy and I don't want to hold grudges anymore. But it's like still understanding, like I still know your patterns, like I still know the way you operate. It's one thing to become aware of your patterns, but it's a completely another thing to go through and face what your pattern. I've done the work to face my patterns, and I'm continuously wanting to face my patterns, and it's such an exciting thing because I'm like, why would you not want to level up? I want to become truly the best version of myself. Okay, anyways, so Neptune is like, what is possible, what do I believe, what do I dream of? So my Saturn squares Neptune. So this is all like, it's just all one part sees potential, the other part of me, well, what is happening here? So I need that balance of like holding two realities. Like I can see your potential, I can see your higher self, but if you're not showing up at your higher self, then like, oh, that's reality too, and I can't face your struggles for you. Like I can support you for it, I can applaud you for it, but you have to be willing to move that lever for themselves. It's like if an alcoholic wants to quit, they are not going to quit because you want them to quit and you want what's best for them. They're going to quit because they want to quit. Yeah, so if I guess like look at your Saturn, your Neptune, your 7th house, and your moon, so that can be like a way to learn boundaries. There's some other things that are down, I don't want to read it. I was just having fun like writing it down, and because I feel like I learned that way, but I'm running out of space. That's all I'm going to say for this video.